You know what they say, Kane. In space, no one can hear you. What do you think?
I like it. I quite like it.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick.
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
The fucking trees walked in those movies.
Hi, doggy.
What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks.
In a row?
I'm your number one fan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Marathon Me with your host, Kane.
And Rhys.
And today we are continuing the Friday the 13th series. You know, we've already covered Jason Goes to Hell, which, you know, obviously we had not very nice things to say. So going into this movie, I was kind of, I don't know how you felt, Rhys, but I was a little bit excited because, you know, this movie is, well, it makes no secret that this movie is not good. Jason Goes to Space, you know, like, no one goes into a movie called Blank Goes to Space expecting it to be high art, but, you know, I went in thinking that this was going to be, you know, a so bad it's good kind of time and all that. Did you kind of have, like, a similar, like, kind of, like, era of excitement going into this movie, or at least, like, you know, something to look forward to?
Yeah, I definitely did. I was excited because we're at the tail end of our Jason Goes Blank. Like, legitimately, part 8 is Jason in New York. Part 9, Jason in Hell, but not really. And now it's Jason in Space. And the one thing that I was excited about with this is that at least what you gotta give Jason X, right, is that Jason X actually spends the majority of the movie in the place that it claims that you're in.
That's one thing that we can give this film. Yes,
perfect film? Is this the perfect film?
It delivers on what it promises. Is basically what's going on here. And could this be like a hidden gem type movie, Rhys? Could it be?
Well, I think that I want to say what the plot of this film is for the people that haven't seen it or haven't heard of it. Because it's not just Jason Goes to Space. It's quite a deep plot. Is that we start the film in the present day of 2001, correct?
I think not. I think the opening of this movie takes place in 2008. I think they mention.
Oh, okay. I didn't even realize. Well, it comes out in 2001. Film.
Yeah, it came out in 2001. So you'd be correct in assuming that like the opening takes place in 01 and all that. I wouldn't blame.
Why base it 7 years in the future? Why even bother basing it? That's weird. Anyway, so just during the financial crisis of 2008 is where we start the film, and Jason is like tied. He's like chained up in like this research base at the Camp Crystal Lake research base, and he's pretty much like captured so that they can test and trial his unique regenerative abilities. And of course, there's one person that's like, you can't chain him up. He's too dangerous. He'll get out and kill people. And you'll never guess what happens. You will never guess what happens.
What happens?
He gets out of the chains and he goes on a rampage. And this whole section in the present goes for about 2.5 minutes. It's so freaking quick. Gets out, and our like sort of main character, though, how she saves herself in this situation is she locks him in a cryogenic, freezing capsule.
Yeah.
Jason is then frozen in this cabinet, and before he gets frozen, puts his machete through the little capsule just in time to then spread the cryogenic freezing to the rest of the room. Even though I don't think that's how cryogenic freezing works, but it happens.
It's also, I don't think that's how his machete would work, because his machete literally stabs through like solid inches of hard steel.
He's a strong man.
He's a strong man, but is the machete that strong? Is the machete like made out of like the same shit that Wolverine's claws are made of? I guess so. I
think so. And then him and this main character, final girl, are frozen all the way to the year of 2455. And they are found by some space explorers that take them on their spaceship, thaw them out, and then the film happens. That's the setup to Jason X.
In the year 2455, on a routine training mission, A team of students is about to discover a life form frozen in time.
Wow.
They're on their way back. Prepare for docking and power up the lab.
You brought him on board?
Everything's under control, man.
What the hell is going on?
Jason Voorhees, that's what's going on. He's an unstoppable killing machine.
Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back.
How do we get off the ship?
I don't know.
Look, we're gonna be all right.
What? Are you high?
Uh-oh.
He's here. You have got to get them out of there.
Hey, Slappy.
I think we're finally okay.
What the hell is that? You've got to be kidding me.
Oh, wow.
He's been modified. Oh, you think? You guys might want to run.
I think interesting sort of concept, right?
Yeah.
But is it very good, Kane? Is it very good?
I'm gonna come around and say it. I hate this movie. I'm pretty sure you know, I've made it no secret, I don't like this movie. Every time I've watched it, I've never had a good time with it, and my point still stands. I genuinely, and I'm not kidding, I genuinely despise this film.
Okay.
I hate almost everything about this movie. Maybe it was also because I watched this at like 1 a.m, and I had to I technically had to watch it twice because I fell asleep halfway through the first time.
Oh my god, you poor soul.
And had to spend $5 on this movie, similar to the first one, similar to the previous film. But yeah, I got no semblance of joy, no semblance of fun. I was bored, annoyed, angry. Basically everything that I felt while watching the previous 2 Friday movies. However, kind of worse, honestly. I'm not gonna lie.
It was worse.
There's something about this movie that just rubs me the wrong way that I'm just like, I hate coming back to it. I fucking hate this movie.
Okay.
That's just me. I'm assuming you probably maybe are a bit more kinder to this movie, judging by your reaction.
Is it maybe because it does seem on paper like it could be something interesting and different, and then it is pretty much like it is different. It is one of the most different of this franchise, I have to say.
Yeah.
But not in a great way, because it feels like it's just a different franchise now.
It's like, the thing is that the whole like blank in space subgenre I've never cared for. I think it's a stupid fucking genre. I think it's a stupid fucking thing to like even consider. It goes over the line of like, you know, being like winking to the audience and be like, look how goofy this is, guys, and all that. Like it goes over the line of it being like a fun little like wink to the audience of like, oh, this is so stupid, but it's fun, isn't it? To the point where it's like, oh, this is stupid, and you gotta have fun with this because it is so stupid. I'm not having fun with this. I'm just wasting a fucking hour and a half watching this garbage that has no semblance of effort put in whatsoever. And also, the fact that like Jason is in space, it doesn't really mean anything because it's just another Friday movie. It's another Friday movie where he's just picking off randos one by one. The only bad thing is that it's in a spaceship interior that, if not done right, if not like designed and shot correctly, it can be the most boring, lifeless fucking locations of all time. Like, you know, for example,
very sterile.
Yeah, very sterile, very like just lifeless environment. Like watching this movie, all I could think of, especially during like the parts where military officers are like trying to find Jason, it just reminded me of the fact that I could have been watching Alien. It just reminded me of the fact that I could have been watching Alien, a film made in 1979 that still holds up to this day in terms of everything, especially set design and cinematography. And yet this film looks so fucking cheap. It looks like it looks like something off the fucking Sci-Fi Channel or a kid show or a porno. I'd rather be watching any one of those rather than this piece of shit. I hate this fucking movie.
Well, I'm glad to know. I don't have as much of an active distaste for this film.
Yeah.
I don't like it, and I don't think it's very good. But it doesn't get me heated up, you know.
Man.
And I my least favorite thing about this film is that it is a goofy concept, undeniably on paper. And it sort of goes into a bit of the goofiness, but also I think takes itself a bit too seriously and wants you to be emotionally involved to a certain point.
Yeah.
And wants you to care about characters that don't have the time to really care about.
No, I agree. I agree.
And also what it is that it feels like it was made by someone that wanted to make a Star Trek film instead of wanting to make a Jason film. But unfortunately got assigned with making a Jason film and then sort of fills in the gaps, right?
Yeah.
And so then there's this really incomplete balance in this film of the sci-fi, the hard sci-fi elements and the slasher film elements. That doesn't work and doesn't mesh well. And it's a bit like oil and water where it's let's turn on the sci-fi, let's turn on the slasher, and it doesn't blend into one another.
No, not
That's
at
what
all.
I don't like about this film.
Yeah, not at all. That's one of the multiple things I don't like about this movie. You know, there's also the characters you don't give a shit about, the kills that, for the most part, are pretty fucking lame. You know how we were talking about how, Jason Goes to Hell felt really cheap? This is on another fucking level, man. Like I said, it felt like I was watching some kids TV show or whatever with how awful the sets look, how just lifeless the environments are. Oh my god, dude, the fucking dialogue in this movie, I the dialogue was
the dialogue is bad.
It's bad. It was kind of funny at first with I got a bit of a kick out of them just saying random sci-fi buzzwords that had no fucking meaning. They say quadrants and parsecs and other fucking sci-fi shit and all that. That was kind of funny because it's just they they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're just saying it's just that's what they're saying Star Wars and Star Trek and all that stuff. So let's say in this movie it'll make it seem like a real sci-fi movie, and it's funny for 5 minutes. Then it just gets grating. And then also, what about the whole litany of quips in this movie that make it feel like a fucking MCU movie? You know what I'm talking about.
Does.
You know what I'm talking about.
I definitely know what you're talking about, and it feels very, very MCU-y.
Yeah.
I think why the blend doesn't work between all these different tones and genres that it's going for is that it's almost built into the slasher movie that it's not too deep, but if there's there's some room for something to happen where I think that with sci-fi, the most effective sci-fi and why people like it so much is that it works as a very good vessel to sort of hone in on some interesting hypotheticals and philosophical quandaries or moral quandaries in a fictional future that we sort of live in. And that's what Star Trek, every episode of Star Trek, I'm not a Star Trek fan, but every episode is sort of a different sort of moral quandary with the backdrop of the future and different potential sort of realities that are there.
Yeah.
And I think that this film tries to do this with a couple of things. One thing is that in the 2.5 minutes that we're in the present day at the start of the film, big bad businessman mentions that they kept Jason to research his regenerative properties, and what I find interesting is that ties in directly with this nanotechnology that later on in the future exists, and they've basically been able to replicate Jason's nanotechnology through through the research and make these little nanobots that regenerate people's arms and their legs and their brains apparently.
Jason's
and shit.
Nanotechnology, that is the worst fucking sentence I've ever goddamn heard in my life.
Yeah, I know.
Sake.
But so there's obviously some sort of link and tie here, right? But in a science fiction, a film or TV show, it would be trying to say something with that.
Yeah.
What is it trying to say though with this? Because it feels like at the start of the film, it's introducing big bad businessman as capturing Jason and for research is a bad thing to do that puts people at risk and may have some some sort of business benefits that you can make so much money from this, but it's inhumane and risks the very lives of everyone on the crew, sort of thing. But then it works. And we see that it works. Go.
Oh no! Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, I think like the whole point with like the big bad businessman wanting to like harvest Jason's regenerative properties was for like in terms of in more of a military aspect. They wanted to use him for like war or whatever, and like, you know, breed him into an ultimate killing machine. From what I remember, at least, I was pretty checked out during like this movie upon my second watch, but. From what I remember, that's why they wanted him. They were very implicit about the fact using him for like war and all that. But I could be wrong. But that's from what I remember. I was
okay.
I was too distracted in the opening because the big bad business guy was played by director David Cronenberg. Fun fact.
Was that Cronenberg?
That was fucking Cronenberg. Yep.
Oh my god, that is interesting.
That was David Cronenberg, and I could have been watching one of his movies. I could have been watching The Fly or Eastern Promises, but no, he had to fucking be in this. Oh, yeah.
Well, at least for his sake, he only probably had to get on set for a day, and then he's done.
Yeah, you know what?
So that's good.
Him getting killed in this movie did kind of put a smile on my face, mainly just because it makes up for that fucking movie Cosmopolis that he made starring Robert Pattinson. Have you heard of that movie, Rhys?
I have heard of it. I have not seen it.
I watched it. I was very excited to watch it because I really like Cronenberg's like more dramatic films, and I love Robert Pattinson. But let me just say this, bro, that movie is fucking horrendous. I would love for you to watch it one day. I hate that. I hate that fucking movie so much.
I could be wrong, but I think that it's on my poster of like 100 movies to see before you die.
Cosmopolis?
I think so.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Metropolis?
No. I definitely know that they're both different films.
All right, please, when we're done, look at the poster and just I would need
Fact
you
check this.
I need you to confirm this for me because it's going to be eating me up all night now.
Fair. Well, with like another thing too, that it seemed like that they wanted to sort of explore this sort of science fiction concept with like morality and all this sort of stuff is like the android character, which for like one of the she's the only character in this film that has like her own sort of arc and own sort of crisis that like develops throughout the film, right? Her identity issue.
Did she? Because I feel like it was only specified, it was only said in one fucking line where she's like, I'm human, I'm real, and then was it like developed at all like during the movie? Because I only remember one fucking line being uttered about it.
I think every line that she says really ties into that, like this identity thing. And like when she, like, to bring up the nipple scene where like she's getting nipples installed, and they just fall off, which is like the weirdest nipple jump scare I've ever seen in my life, where this woman's nipples just fall off her. And he's like, why do you even want nipples? And she's like, because Christy has them, or like someone else on the crew.
Yeah.
And then every line when anyone is like, oh wow, she look like, when she gets introduced to the final girl for the first time, she's like, wow, she seems so real. I am real. And like everything that she says is in service of this identity issue that she has.
Yeah.
And what that makes me think is that maybe this filmmaker wanted to make a film about that rather than a Jason film.
So basically,
like, as in, like, they probably wanted to make a film dedicated to this sort of android identity crisis, as opposed to a slasher film in space, because every line this character has is in service of that, and it doesn't even interact with the main plot line of Jason being there and there's a killer on board. Like, at the end, she feels like she's just ahead, but I think that there's some sort of like resolution where she's like at peace that, you know, I'm loved by this person, so, and I feel things, so that's what makes me a person, or like real. But it has no interaction with Jason being on the ship.
That's so lovely that like the character with like the most development is a fucking sex bot. I love that.
What? Hey, that's a bit degrading. I don't think that she was a sex bot. I think that she...
I'm just saying what the fucking creator of that robot thinks, alright? You like, bro, like, the fucking scene of him, like, making out with the goddamn fucking robot, like, bro, you know why he bred that fucking thing in the first place. Like, come on. You take one look at the goddamn guy, he looks like a fucking deviant.
I think that he made this android for the ship, and then they just happened to fall in love along the process.
If you want to
but maybe I'm just a hopeless romantic. If you want
to give the movie credit for that, then be my guest, my man. But all I could think of was that, like, yep, this guy bred the robot because he can't talk to women, so he decided to make his own woman. Bro's on some fucking weird science shit right now.
I just also want to say, just side note really quickly, how dumb with the cyborg nipples thing. Giving a cyborg nipples shouldn't be so difficult because they don't have to function. They literally just have to attach, and when they fell off and he's like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to do this, super glue would do that job, and you would have much better like technology at your disposal than super glue. So that should not be an issue.
Yeah.
Anyway,
oh my fucking god.
Should not be a huge task to like implanting nipples on this person. Draw them on if you really want to in tech stuff.
You know how you mentioned that like the director of this movie probably like wanted to make a movie about this like android trying to like struggling with their like with the fact that they're not real and all that. Like the director, I just wanted to say that, like, yeah, the director clearly, like, looked like he wanted to make a fucking Blade Runner type movie. He wanted to make Blade Runner 2049 before the fucking movie even existed, with this whole, like, android, like, questioning their, like, whether they're real or not, and like wanting to like be seen as real and all that shit. And it's just, I don't know, it's just so bizarre that like this movie has some parallels between this whole character's fucking like drama and like struggle and fucking Ryan Gosling's Asian K from fucking Blade Runner 2049. Thus also making me remember, hey, I could have rewatched Blade Runner 2049. That would have been great.
Yeah. Are we going to refer to this film from now on as Blade Runner 2455?
Yes.
Just to, like in our own sort of lives?
Yes, definitely.
It'll make it at least a little bit more interesting, and it focuses on the most compelling part of this film, even though that it's not fleshed out in the slightest.
It really isn't. It really fucking isn't, man. My God.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Jason in this.
Okay.
Do you like the representation and the presentation of Jason in this film? Let's just focus on normal Jason right now.
Sure. I don't like it.
Me neither.
I don't like it.
It feels like a cosplay, right?
It feels like a cosplay. He's got too much hair. The mask looks fucking weird. His build, I guess, is fine, but like I don't like how he looks. It does not look like Jason. It looks like a cosplay, really. Like I don't like why the fuck does he have like weird like grey hairs all over? Like what the fuck? He just looks like a goddamn buff senior citizen going around cosplaying. Like what the fuck?
The mask looks too slick and almost like it doesn't have that sort of classic campy look to it.
Yeah.
It more looks like a piece of armor than anything.
Yeah.
And also, like, something that's really interesting is that I feel like that a classic depiction of Jason is with this sort of, like, is the image that we see here of him at the start of the film with this sort of, like, button-up shirt that's open over, like, a t-shirt and these, like, sort of baggy hillbilly pants.
Yeah.
Where we actually don't see him in that costume really at all during the entire first, like, 9 parts of the series. But that is like it seems like that they based this design off of like pop culture's idea of Jason instead of actually him.
Yeah, it's oh my god. Also, you know how like the last movie we didn't get like a face reveal of Jason? Technically in this movie we do get one, like when the female coroner or whatever is like trying to like not dissect him but like, you know, examine him and all that, and like pulls off the mask, sees the face. Bro, why does the face reveal look like a cheap Halloween mask?
It does. It really does.
Me that? It looks like either a Halloween mask or like a monster from from one of the Ernest movies, like one of like Ernest Scared Stupid or something. It doesn't look scary. It looks goofy as fuck.
I think that they definitely went to the dollar store to get this all the costumes for this.
Yeah. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, all the costuming is awful in this. The military guys. What the fuck is going on with the armor in those? They look like bloody laser tag attire.
I was just about to say that. They got that from the AMF bowling laser tag.
Oh my.
Laser tag, please.
God, dude. Even like the whole like. Speaking of them being dressed as laser tag characters and all that, like when they're parading around through like the dark halls of the ship, it looks like a laser tag arena. It literally looks like they rented out a bloody like the AMF bowling laser skirmish arena to
potentially they did.
They probably did because it was cheaper. Oh my fucking god! And like
well actually. Sorry, you go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like that whole sequence of them like hunting Jason in like the halls of the ship that drags on for so fucking long, and because like it's such like a visually it's just so devoid of anything interesting visually, it drags on so fucking long. That's a great way of summing up this film. This film drags on a lot more than Jason Goes to Hell. I will say that.
Yes,
this film goes on way too fucking long.
Maybe to like touch on that laser tag thing quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe they did that with the intention of then like franchising at different laser tag arenas around America, having a Jason X theme to like partner up with it, and there were like Jason X game modes that then publicized the movie, as well as they got a kickback because they're using like the property to sort of advertise laser tag places. Maybe that's what they were trying to do.
That would have been pretty cool. It's a shame that this movie did so poorly that it never came to fruition. If that was a feature at laser tag arenas, maybe I'd be a bit more kind to this movie, because that'd be kind of fun. That would be kind of fun. But watching basically like just watching this shit, this like these guys parade around in an empty laser tag arena without actually like being there and playing it myself, like it's just not exactly my idea of a good time.
There's a reason why you never see any footage or highlight reels of people playing laser tag.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that pop up.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And I've never gone actively searching for it either. Isn't it weird actually that 2 Jason movies in a row start with a dissection scene dissecting Jason's body? Like 2 fucking films in a row.
2 fucking films in a row. 2 of them not being that good either. Just to go out on a limb here, I'm starting to think that these New Line Cinema Jason movies aren't that good. They're not that good so far.
Did you notice as well that when the person that is dissecting him is cutting off his mask, he's like oozing a green goo?
Yeah. Oh my fucking god. Yeah, some Nickelodeon, some fucking Nickelodeon slime.
Slimed. Yeah, he's just getting slimed.
Oh my god.
But why is he now oozing a green goo? Like, it really is like, since these Jason holiday movies really are like taking Jason more as a mutant than anything else.
I know, and I don't like that. I don't like that he's portrayed as a mutant. Like, fuck off. The zombie stuff is good. Give me the zombie stuff. I don't want it to be portrayed as a sewer mutant. I don't want it to be portrayed as a sewer mutant. I don't like that whole trauma fucking shit. I don't like trauma films. Stop with this, please. Just give me...
Oh my god, that means that, like... For Jason's zombie era is only 2 films. It's only parts 6 and 7, and then he goes into full mutant era.
Oh my god, it's fucking ridiculous, man. It's awful.
Wow.
Wow. And then, his mutant era will end later in this movie.
That's actually the longest... Oh, no. It's tied with the longest era of versions of Jason, because Human Jason is 2 to 4, so 3 movies. Then Roy Burns' Jason is 1, and then there's only 2 zombies, but 3 mutants.
I can't fucking believe it. It's ridiculous.
Oh my god! One thing that I do like about Jason Awakening though, is that he wakes up immediately as people start banging in the ship.
Oh my!
It's like
that was so stupid, man. Oh my!
I don't think that's that stupid. I think that's sort of like that's one sort of element that I sort of like about it, is this force that is the soul is awakened. That almost sort of resembles like and we're talking about like what Jason represents, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being a physical being, is this like guilt around purity and sex and all this sort of shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
look,
so I liked that.
Look, maybe it's just because I don't want to give this movie any credits. Maybe if it was in a different one of the different entries, I would find it funny and all that. And like, look, it's funny, but like, also I don't want to give this fucking movie any credits. Actually, you know what? I will give this movie one credit. The liquid nitrogen kill. It's good. It's cool.
Oh. Great kill.
No pun intended. No pun intended when saying it's cool.
It's pretty cool.
But yeah,
it's freezing.
It's the one like actually like wow kill and all that like that I can give it credit for because it's good and it's like I feel like that's where half the budget went to this movie to do that really cool frozen face effect and then smashing it on the ground like that. That was good.
I was thinking, how do you think they did that effect? And I'm not talking about like the smashing the head effect. That I can sort of understand how they would do that. Yeah. But the shot that I think is a brilliant shot, the one from under the water where her face goes in and then you see it freeze in real time.
Yeah, that shit was pretty fucking
I'm curious how they did that. Because that looks practical, does not look like it was a... it doesn't look like it was a like CGI thing.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, no.
And also... Great first kill for Jason after a 450-year hiatus from killing.
Oh yeah, shows the man has not lost his he hasn't lost his talent, but then he kind of does sort of phone it in later on when he's just doing like, you know, random stabbings and all that, breaking necks. Like, bro, I think one of the worst things that like horror, like slasher films can do is when they do such lame kills like neck snapping and all that. It's so lame in horror films. Like,
especially like not taking advantage. Most of the kills after the liquid nitrogen kill does not take advantage of being in space and being in the future. It's mostly stabs and like a machete through the torso sort of thing, cutting in half, all that sort of stuff. The only other real space death is when the woman gets sucked out of like the air, like the when the hole is made in the spaceship and she gets sucked out through the crate.
Yeah, but
that's like an accidental kill, not in Jason.
Which like also like that kill on its own kind of sucks because like no pun intended again. But like the whole like,
sucks on so many levels.
If the movie had more of a fucking budget than $2, a kill of like, you know, a woman getting like sucked through a tiny hole into the vacuum of space could make for a sick kill. Like you remember like in Alien Resurrection when like the abomination xenomorph gets like sucked into space and like you see all its innards get blown out and how sick that kill was.
I was going to say, like you were saying that these last few films are just making you think of better films you could be watching.
Yeah.
That suction kill was making me think of Alien Resurrection and how much I love that film. And that is like that's a pretty campy, not like perfect horror film set on a spaceship in space that has similar sort of beats to it. Like it's this like sort of rogues gallery of people to get killed by the big baddie in a spaceship.
Yeah, and also takes place
so much better.
And takes place in like the not too distant future. Involves like, you know, well, not like cryogenic frozen, but like, you know, like Ellen Ripley's cloned like 200 years into the future. It's like, wow, yeah, these movies actually do have some similarities. Except, you know, Alien Resurrection is actually you know, a fucking ton of fun. I love that movie,
and has some style to it.
Yeah,
but I wanted to say that you said with like the budget of $2 on this film, Jason X.
Yeah.
You know what the budget actually is?
Oh god. Is it
like I have it here, so I can reveal.
$3 million.
11 to $14 million.
Fuck off. Are you serious?
Yeah.
No.
I'm serious.
You're taking the piss.
But then that is legitimately the budget of that film. And now also like when I look at the budget of Alien Resurrection though, that was $70 million. Wow. So that's like no wonder that it looks a lot better and has a lot more style going for it. Yeah. But the original Alien film was $11 million budget.
Oh my.
So imagine giving the same amount of money to two different teams and one person comes out with Alien and the other comes out with Jason X.
Oh.
What the fuck? And also with 20 plus more years of like, you know, technological development and shit, and they come out with Jason X.
It's ridiculous, man. It's honestly 11 million? Are you serious?
Yeah, 11 to 14. It says up to 14 million.
God,
so
no.
And a place where it is very much reflected that it does not look like that they would have had a pretty hefty budget is the VR aliens look like the CG monsters in the 2001 Scooby-Doo movie.
Oh, no, man. The CGI monsters in the Scooby-Doo movie look fucking incredible compared to this, man. Like, this looks terrible. This looks like...
They do, yeah.
Oh, my God. Bro.
You're actually right. They do look better in the Scooby-Doo movie, but they have a similar sort of shitness going on.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, it's
than with these.
Terrible. But, like... Wow, yeah. I was gonna say that like the CGI VR monsters in this movie remind me. Do you know about the 2000 movie Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Like where like they have like these awful CGI dragons near the end of the movie that literally look like fucking video, like PS1 cutscenes. You know what I'm talking about, yeah? Actually, it's very topical that I bring this up as well, because that new Dungeons and Dragons movie just came out, which apparently is actually good, so I've heard.
I think that, like, I haven't seen it, so I can't properly say, but I guess that it is good in the way that it serves the exact same shit the Marvel movies serve up. Like, they're these sort of big AAA films that are made for like mass demographic audiences, but it's not a Marvel movie, so it feels a little bit fresh.
Yeah, probably.
And so I feel that is maybe why audiences are saying that it's good.
Yeah, mate.
But I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I can't really.
Me neither. I don't really know if I will see it, honestly.
Yeah, I don't really give much of a shit about it.
Yeah.
Maybe if I played Dungeons and Dragons, then maybe I would have some sort of resonance going in there. But really, Bender's Game is the closest that I ever got to being involved in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, no, same here, man. Bender's Game is the real shit, alright? Fuck this new Dungeons and Dragons movie. Bender's Game's where it's at, baby.
You should do a double feature.
Oh, fuck yes.
We're watching two Dungeons and Dragons movies. You're watching the one from the 2000s? No, we're watching Bender's Game and the original.
You know what we could do, Rhys, for a Marathon Me series one day is that we could watch the 2000s Dungeons and Dragons movie because they did 2 direct-to-video sequels to that movie.
Oh my god, and I can only imagine they're even better than the original.
Yeah, definitely. We do those movies, then we do Bender's Game, then we do the new one.
Oh, nice. Okay, that sounds good.
Excellent. But that's for another day. Back to the real cinema.
Can I talk about Jason getting killed?
Sure.
Now.
Sure.
So Jason gets killed in this by the cyborg when the cyborg goes all Resident Evil movie on him.
Oh my god.
And like very like blood rain sort of like strips off her clothes, and then she is wearing all leather and has guns, and then there's like
literally dressed like a dominatrix, and you're telling me this guy doesn't want to fuck the robot, didn't make the robot just to fuck her. You're telling me that?
it's a bit weird that actually true. Why does she even have that in her arsenal? Like also, like, this is something that very classic of action movies is, like, her outfit before would have been more protective and probably easier to move around in than this leather dominatrix outfit.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, goes all Resident Evil on him, and then like shoots him a bunch, like leg gets cut off by the bullets, arm gets cut off by the bullets, and then head explodes from the bullets that are shot at them. So it's like, ooh, Jason's already dead. This is great, but there's still around half an hour of runtime left. What's going to happen? And what happens, Kane?
He becomes Uber Jason.
But how does he become Uber Jason?
His dead body fell into a nanotech lab, and the nanotech starts leaking onto him and rebuilds his body, making him bigger and stronger and looking like a fucking cosplay outfit.
Looking like a fan fiction, or like fan art.
Yep.
Looks a little bit like fan art, right?
Yep, it definitely does. It looks like fan art. It looks like it looks like those cheap Halloween costumes of like Superman or the Hulk, where it's like all foam padding. Like, I do not believe that this is like a giant built muscle mass of a man. I just think that this guy just has a bunch of pillows in his shirt.
You are very right that it does feel like one of those, like, before he actually was a character and Uber Jason became a character, seems like one of the costumes you would find in a crappy costume shop like I Heart This Store, which I do love in Melbourne, that has all the costumes that are unlicensed, and like Fred Flintstone is cave cartoon man and Marge Simpson is blue hair lady, that this one would be future killer, and it's like a future version of Jason that uses none of the actual like direct iconography from it in case it gets sued.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. Maybe that's where they got inspired for the costume for Uber Jason.
Yeah, maybe the director was a big fan of I Heart This Shop and decided to incorporate some of those elements, some of those assets into this movie.
Man, that's a terrifying thought to think that all of us could just be one visit to I Heart This Shop away from making Jason X.
Oh,
fuck.
God, fuck that.
I do have to say, I like some details of Uber Jason.
Okay.
I like some details, but not the whole thing, not how it comes together. I like his red eyes, that he looks angrier and more determined to kill people.
Yeah.
And he always has this angry face on him. You can see his eyebrows, his brows.
Mm-hmm.
I like how buff he looks, but it is not aesthetically pleasing how it all fits into one another.
No.
And then goes from like, okay, now it doesn't even feel like a Jason film anymore.
Yeah, it just... I gotta be straight up, man. I fucking hate Uber Jason. I've always fucking... I'm serious, man. I fucking hate Uber Jason, man. I've hated it ever since I goddamn first found out about it when I was 11. I hate this movie in general, but I fucking hate Uber Jason. And you know how, like you said, you like how you can see the eyes? I don't like that, because it takes away from how menacing Jason is as a character. You're not supposed to see the eyes, all right? The lack of eyes, it makes it feel too human. Ironic, because, you know, he's a cyborg in this movie, but it makes him feel too fucking human-like in this, where you can see his eyes, you can see his emotions and all that. I don't want to see angry eyes. I want to see, like, this rage portrayed in body language, not through fucking facial expressions. Like, oh my god.
You are right, though. You are right. I do actually see what you're talking about there. The most effective Jasons are when you can barely make out the humanity in him.
It takes away from how, like, sinister and how, like, scary he is. That's why, like, Michael Myers, even in the shittier movies, he works so well, because you don't see, like, any facial expression through the eyes. His eyes are always blacked out, so he looks inhuman, and that's, like, why Jason works in, like, a lot of, like, the... You know, like especially like in the middle films where like they purposefully like black out the eyes and all that. That's like one of the only props I could give Jason Takes Manhattan, is that you don't see his eyes, so he looks more inhuman. And that's like a problem I have with, like, you know, like Freddy vs. Jason. I have a problem with that, because you can see the eyes in that movie, makes it too human and all that. But I don't like that. That's like I know that's like one prop that you can give Uber Jason, but I can't bring myself to do it. I can't do it.
I want to say, like, one thing that I hate about the creation of Uber Jason, that they've already made this mistake once before in the franchise, and it's so frustrating, because all stakes are really lost at this point. Because what it shows is that like, not only did it repair his arm and leg that gets shot off, which we already see in the film anyway, that someone's arm gets repaired, but his head, he is missing half of his head, most of his brain, if not all of his brain, but the nanobots are able to repair that.
Yep, they created life.
Firstly, how the fuck they created life? Like, they created a fucking brain from scratch.
Ridiculous.
How could they do such a thing? And then secondly, if that's the case, then any kill in this film can be undone because of the nanobot technology that they have there.
Oh my god.
The freaking ice face smash could be undone because of these nanobots, because they can do fucking anything. It doesn't matter what the problem is, as long as there's a little bit of DNA there and a bit of semblance of life. Well, I guess you can make... The nanobots can make something from it. What's it called? What I find dumb about that as well, sorry, go ahead. If that is the case, then could you, so this arm gets chopped off. It's not reattaching the arm, it creates a whole new arm that sort of spawns from that. Could you, in essence, clone yourself by the nanobots creating a new arm and then the nanobots reacting with the arm that got cut off and then making a body to go with it. Because if it can make a brain, a head, a body, everything, then where is the fucking limits of that? And then, why do you even have to make androids? Why do you have to make these androids if you can clone people? And why do you even care if someone gets killed? Because you can just clone them anyway. You should probably have reserves of people that are cloned. Oh... ridiculous, inconsistent, and no stakes are there. Similar to how in 7 Jason gets resurrected by the psychokinetic girl, where any other person that gets killed in this movie should be able to get resurrected as well.
I'm at a loss for words.
That is my case.
I mean, honestly, man, I completely agree. I didn't really even think about that. The whole the overpoweredness of this nanotechnology, the fact that, like, if it can resurrect fucking a man that got his goddamn brain blown off, then what fucking limitations does this nanotechnology have? It doesn't. The only limitation I can think of is because the script didn't demand it. The script didn't demand for the nanotechnology to be used on anyone else. Or because the characters didn't think about it and all that. Like, oh, hooty-doo-doo-doo. Like, fuck off. Oh my god. Yeah. This movie fucking sucks, man. Oh, wow.
And like the blessing and the curse of being born a middle-aged man is that, like, I'm always thinking about the logistics of these movies, like I give reservations for like magical and mythical elements to these films, but I'm still thinking of the logistics of how it works in its own logic, and it doesn't. It fucking doesn't.
No, it does not. You know what else it really sucks about Uber Jason is the fact that, like, when he is brought as a cyborg, he doesn't do anything really interesting in this movie. You think that this giant cyborg would go around, like, ripping cunts in half and all that, and, like, going to town on the rest of these characters. He doesn't. All he does, from what I remember in this movie, he punches a hole in the ship, which then, causes the fucking, the quippy girl, I think her name was, like, Janessa, which is a terrible fucking name, by the way. Janessa?
That is...
Are you fucking serious?
Combining two names. They could not decide in the script writing what to name this character, so they give her two.
Yep, nope, terrible. Like, she dies not, like, technically by Jason's hand, but, like, inadvertently by Jason's hand, and then... That's it. Like, Jason, like, there's that whole scene of, like, Jason on the holodeck where, like, he attacks two fake women and all that by, like, wrapping them in sleeping bags and, slamming them against one another. Which also, that scene was, like, I don't know if it was like that for you, but, like, I remember that you could hear them, like, screaming in pain and all that. Meanwhile, when he's, like, attacking these girls in the holodeck, it's disturbingly silent. Like, you hear no audio from the women in the scene. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, for me, you could definitely hear them. But you could hear them playfully scream. Like, they were like, ooh, ooh.
I couldn't even hear that. It was dead silent. So I'm watching it and I'm just like, what the fuck? This is weird. I don't like this. And that's it. That's all Uber Jason does in this movie. He doesn't do anything cool. Like I said, I fucking hate Uber Jason. I hate the very idea of him. But if you're gonna have this giant cyborg roaming around, have him do something fucking cool. Have him, like, go to fucking town on these characters and all that. No, he doesn't do shit. He doesn't.
You are completely right. I don't actually think that other than one person when he starts, like when he becomes Uber Jason, he kills someone. But I think every other death that comes after this point is not at the hands of Uber Jason, besides the two girls in the camp simulation who are simulated people. They're not real people. Yeah. So, and you're right that he does not do anything that the normal Jason could not do and would not do.
Oh my god, yeah, no.
So what's the point of Uber Jason?
Exactly.
What is the fucking point?
Exactly, there's no fucking, like, point apart from, like, oh, look how cool this guy is and all that. Look at this, he's so epic. Oh, big robot fucker. Like, get out of here. Get out of town, mate. Jesus Christ.
I liked the simulated camp scene because I think this is a good scene because it shows a little bit of awareness to the franchise, but also sort of highlights how far it has gone and how this movie has nothing to do with the roots of what Friday the 13th sort of is. Yeah. And it's like a really exaggerated, heightened version of that, of course. Yeah. But it more so makes me sad that we didn't get an entire early 2000s Jason film set at Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, that's true. Especially, like, with like the trope that like just like how like early 2000s horror films were portrayed at the time with like how horrible like I don't know, it would have been nice to just see like a full-fledged Camp Crystal Lake Jason movie in the early 2000s. It would have been nice, I guess,
because it would have felt like American Pie but with Jason. And I am here to see that. Not because I think it would be the best thing on earth, but I want to see this.
It would have been
there's such a dead zone. There's such a dead zone with Friday the 13th movies, because in the 90s there only being one Friday the 13th film, and it being so strange and like away from center, is that you can't even really say that it embraces the 90s or embraces this different time period. And then in the 2000s, like all of them besides the remake is like feels like it's about something else. It's not showing this character and this sort of context, but in a different era, which would have been interesting to explore. But we get 8 films of 80s Camp Crystal Lake.
It's so weird, from like being like coming out like subsequently each year to having like like a big dead zone in between, like it's just few and far in between. It's insane to think about like how much like Jason kind of fell off, man, Jason, you fell off.
Speaking of falling off, how Jason is like his demise in this is that he actually by the end doesn't die, but the ship gets blown up, and then he's like, even with the ship getting blown up and most of the crew being on this like on this what's it called, like an evacuation pod, then as the ship is blowing up, Uber Jason is still gliding through space towards the evacuation pod, and just before hitting the pod gets tackled by one of the men of the crew that sacrificed themselves and put themselves in a spacesuit to kill Jason, sort of thing. And then Jason, he falls as well to Earth as a shooting star.
It was
how beautiful.
So beautiful, man. I will say, like, the guy in the spacesuit, like, I'll say the spacesuit looked kind of cool just because it kind of reminded me of, like, the spacesuits in 2001 A Space Odyssey, and I'm like, that's a weird fucking nod to give, like, this piece of shit movie referencing one of the most important landmark films of the 20th century. Like, okay, interesting reference, but go off, I guess. Fucking hell.
And, I sort of like the concept that the shooting star lands in the lake, in Camp Crystal Lake, lands on Earth into the lake again, almost like saying that the cycle continues and starts again. I sort of enjoy that. It was
cute, I guess.
It's cute, but it seems very much to me apparent that this Earth that we're landing on is present day Earth. It does not appear to me, because apparently the year is 2455.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be...
Time still should be 2455, right?
Yeah.
Like, they were just on Earth and, like, got them back on 2455, but now there's still people, like, the two people that you see are wearing cargo shorts and T-shirts, which is very much 2001 or 2008 in their world.
I guess 2000s fashion really came back in 2455 on Earth 2. Fucking Also, can I just say for a second that like when the final girl is like brought out of cryosleep and all that, and they're like telling her like, oh yeah, you've been asleep for like 400 years and all that, they don't really like explain to her like what the fuck's going on. They're just like, yeah, you've been asleep for 400 years and the Earth is like a barren wasteland. Anyways, you're gonna be okay. That's it. Like, and also she doesn't really seem to like take this really harshly and all that. Hell, fucking Fry from Futurama took the whole like being frozen for like almost a millennium. He at least like went through an array of emotions before accepting his fate and all that. This chick just like is like, okay, all right, well, I guess this is where we are now. Like, what the fuck?
But where's Jason? Yeah,
literally, it's just like, yeah, never mind my family and friends that are all fucking dead, and the fact that like I am like 400 years old and all that. No, where's Jason? Like, what the fuck? Oh my god! Like,
you don't even see this woman cry.
I'm not expecting like high deep art with a movie called Jason X, but come on, man! Like when you have like these fucking like questions being asked and all that. It's just like, put some development and effort into this, please. I beg of you. I could be watching something better. Fuck me. I could be watching Futurama right now. Like, fuck.
I have nothing else to say about this movie other than that I could have been watching Futurama right now.
That's a great way to end it. Honestly, we could have been watching the Adventures of Philip J. Fry in the year 3000. Instead, we're watching the Adventures of Jason Voorhees in the year 2455.
Have a great week, everyone.
Have a great week and stay as far away from this movie as possible.
And don't forget to check out our Facebook page at MarathonMeOfficial, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like podcast without the ask.